What's going on? It's your boy, Lee Allen. It's another show. Now, this whole 4B movement, I must say, I am fascinated by this thing. It has women, they are on fire with this. Oh, I'm not dating, I'm not marrying, you're not going to clap those cheeks, we're not having your children, we're decentering men, the whole nine. Like, whoa, these women are going for it. And I fully respect that. I empathize, I understand the concepts. I know that men can be almost intolerable at times, but not all men by any means. And so you need to respect that not all men are like that, and those who don't, hey, I fully understand you not wanting to even mess with these men. But the funny thing is, the 4B movement just seems like the women are becoming conservative in a way, you could say. Just, we're not having sex before we're married. We're not going to date dysfunctional men. We're going to focus on ourselves and our well-being and our health and not put a man at the center of our world. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Any real conscious man would fully support that. And so I'm not sure where all this rage is coming from. It just popped up after Donald Trump was elected, and all of a sudden women are losing all their rights and men are just foul as all hell, and there's no more tolerance. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? But I'm here to tell you that plenty of men fully support your movement.
Hey, all those men getting hugely into their feels about the 4B movement and calling it misandrist and getting very, very upset about the increasing success of this campaign here on TikTok. And there's already been a ton of brilliant videos explaining this, but I thought I'd go for the strained analogy here. Now imagine there's a village where men and women live, and there's a water source some distance from the village, and it's the women's job to fetch the water. The trouble is in this village that the path that traditionally is used to get to the water goes straight through a man-eating pride of lions, and it's the women's job to get to the water. And for years, the women risk their lives on a daily basis to go down, get the water, pick some water up and bring the water back, some extra water back for the men. And the men like this arrangement, right? Obviously it suits them. But after a while, the women get sick to death, literally, of walking through this fucking pride of lions every time they want water. So they choose a different route to get to the water. And in addition to that, when they get to the water, they drink their fill, they take the water they need, and then they come back to the village with no excess water. Nothing for the men. And the men say, "Where's our fucking water?" And the women say, "We ain't walking through the lions anymore." And they say, "No, you have to. That's the way to get our water. We need water, and you need to walk through this dangerous territory to get it." And the women are saying in the 4B movement, "No, we don't. Until you kill the lions, until you do something about the daily danger we have to put ourselves in to get your fucking water, we're not going to do it." And the men are getting upset and blaming the women for their lack of water, not blaming their inability and inaction in doing something about the fucking lions that these women have to walk through every day. They're like, "No, that's the path we've always used, so we've got to carry on using it." And the women are saying, "No, we don't. We've got another way of getting our water. That way's too dangerous. We don't want to do that anymore. But we will do it if you guys kill the lions." And they're like, "No, no, no, we're not killing the lions. We'd rather die out than kill the lions. And that's your fault. Women, that's your fault. What the hell is wrong with you not wanting to walk through the lions? Why not?" So yeah, the birth rate in South Korea is below replacement level, not even 1 for 1. Same in Singapore, same in many countries. And men are upset about this for, legacy. Never mind that overall in the world it's still above replacement rate. And will be for a little while before it dies off. And we sure as hell want that water. But we don't want to be held accountable for making it safe to get it. We don't want to adjust our behavior. We don't want to go to any fucking trouble to get our water. So we get on TikTok and we bitch and moan about how women are robbing themselves of the pleasure of getting our water for us. Do you get it? Am I making sense here? And don't you see that it's in our interests, as well as just being the right fucking thing to do, to go out and kill the lions? Instead, we're stuck in our entitlement to water. It's fucking mind blowing.
Hey, I like my man's analogy right there. That was pretty good. But I want to add to that because I think it was a little biased. Now, when you listen to that story, rather creative, I must say, what is the water symbolizing and the path to the water with the man eating lions? Now, I can fully respect that the men should maybe do something about the lions, or as the analogy seems to point out, we need to evolve or change our ways and become more sympathetic to the certain realities that women have to face. And I'm fully about that. So the women go off and get their water. They have to face these man eating lions. Obviously, they've been eating men too. So we must have to face those same lions. So they get the water and they come back with nothing for the men, no excess for the men, because they find a different way or a different route to get the water and to get what they need for themselves. Well, let me tell you something. So I can respect that. But at the same time, let's add another analogy to this. Those same men, when you bring the water back, have to get up and they have to get their spear and get their bow and take their ass out onto the savannah, and they have to go hunt the antelope and the water buffalo and the gazelle to bring meat back for your ass so you don't starve. How about that? So I can understand this analogy, but at the same time, it's usually a little more win-win than that. So if you're going to get the water, the men are also going out and hunting for you, for the well-being of the whole tribe. So it's not like you would just be walking that water, because trust me, those men have to face those same man-eating lions out there on the savannah, just as you have to face them when you're walking down that path to get water. So let's not get too overboard thinking that it's that one-sided, because trust me, in a village scenario like that, if those women are getting the water, those men are getting the meat, and everyone at the end of the day is gonna drink and eat, and it's a win-win, right? So I can respect the analogy, but also I think there needs to be a little bit more of the story told when it comes to the man-eating lions, right?
I wanted to wait a little bit to make this video because I wanted the oppressors to show themselves. And they definitely have. So here we go. Let's hop into it. So if you don't know
Oppressors.
what it means to be oppressed or to be an oppressor, let me explain. So by definition, an oppressor is somebody who uses their power and authority to control or mistreat a group of individuals. The oppressors typically treat people badly because they feel like they're better or they're more important. So therefore, they should be able to treat people the way they want to treat them and not have any repercussions behind it. And by proxy, the oppressed are the ones on the other end who are experiencing the inequality as well as the unjust behavior of the oppressors. We've seen this behavior happen in real time when it comes to Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ plus community. So eventually the oppressed get tired of being oppressed and they want to speak out and they want things to change. And they either choose a violent method or a non-violent method to fight back against the oppressors. Now we have the 4B movement. Now we have women finally standing up for themselves and speaking up and speaking out against the bullshit that they've been experiencing for centuries. Centuries! It is to the point now that women realize that they don't need men. And I love that for them. But guess what? Anytime there's an oppressed group, there are oppressors. And these oppressors are misogynistic men who can't understand and fathom why a woman doesn't need them. They can't fathom why a woman doesn't want to be with a man who's going to mistreat them and use them and abuse them. They can't understand why women don't feel safe walking down the street at night. They can't understand why women don't have equal pay and women aren't in spaces where they should be because they're highly qualified to, but just because they're not a man, they're not qualified to. Men cannot fathom that women can do the same thing that they can. And it shows when these same men get on the internet and talk about a man's soft life era. Men should get their haircuts paid for. Men should get treated the same way women get treated because they cannot fathom the thought of women wanting more, women wanting things to change, women wanting things to be different. The only men who have a problem with the 4B movement are the same men who are the reason as to why the 4B movement became to be. I am a firm believer that women don't need men, but men need women. Because who else is going to cook and clean for them? Who else is going to give them milky when they don't feel good? Who else is going to do the laundry and
What you
mother
talking
these
about, bro?
men who can't do things for themselves? And for the men who want to argue and say, well, I pay all the bills, guess what? Women can make their own money now. Women can also cook and clean for themselves, and they are very self-efficient. But you know who isn't? The men who need women. And I've been saying for years that I firmly believe that women should run the world. Women should be in charge. And for the people who say, well, women are too emotional to run the country, have you seen the men? Have you seen the men? We are literally at war because men can't get along, because their egos are in the way, because they can't see the bigger picture, because they're lacking sympathy and empathy for other individuals who are also involved in the situation. But you know who isn't lacking sympathy and empathy? Women. And for the men who are doing a great job loving women and respecting women and taking care of women, you are appreciated.
My man had a lot to say right there, but I can feel him. But however, there's a lot of points there, and once again, he's talking about, to me, a very select few men. When I hear about this movement and I hear people talk about men, you're talking as if it's the majority of men. And you're also talking as if women are not as just as toxic or just as foul as men, because they are, because they absolutely are. And I get this whole concept of a misogynistic male, but there are toxic feminine women, period. And it needs to be discussed in a balanced way. And I'm tired of hearing this thing about women don't get equal pay. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. If you do the same job, men are not making $50 an hour, then you're making 25. That is not how it is in this country. And we have made massive strides to bridge these inequalities in this country. And that needs to be acknowledged and not just always talking about, oh, well, we're not getting equal pay. Yes, you are. Yes, you do. Show me any study and show me any statistics that aren't skewed, that are actually honest, that suggest that you do not get paid like men if you're doing a job on the same level. I don't agree with that. There's plenty of executives that are women. There's plenty of executives that are men. Women hold positions of power just like men do. Look at politics. We've made massive strides in our government as far as representation by women. And all this thing about women don't need men. Trust me, men don't need women. We can make that argument as well. Men and women seem to not need, but they would like or want to be with each other. It's just that right now in our culture, it's very difficult to have a healthy and conducive relationship because of the way men and women have been manipulated and programmed and altered through various mechanisms to be very dysfunctional. And so when you have a dysfunctional female and you have a dysfunctional male and you bring that together, you end up in chaos. So I can respect the 4B movement in their efforts to bring this to the light, but ultimately there just has to be a very serious dialogue between men and women to see if we can't get to the bottom of why there is so much cultural animosity and see if we can look to improve the relationships that are being built or nurtured between men and women. Simple as that.
So with the announcement of the 4B movement, I'm actually kind of excited. It's good to hear that women are no longer going to be sleeping around unless it's with people that align with, their feelings and their beliefs and things like that. I think that this is something that needs to happen on both sides of the aisle. And the reason why is because look at what has happened to men. Men have completely lost their masculinity. They have been given too much for free, and they have learned how to manipulate women into getting sex and then basically disappearing on them. And it's like, if men had to actually work for, that again, then maybe they'd actually still be men. Men have traditionally been the hunters. And, you go back into, old school society, it's like dudes would have to court women. They'd have to take them on dates, buy them flowers, do all this effort, to actually be able to sleep with the woman. By the time the man actually slept with the woman, they're like, you know what, this woman is mine forever, and I'm going to invest with them. That's like what traditionally things were like. And nowadays, it's just completely collapsed because, women have been told just sleep around, sleep around, sleep around. And so now they do that. And now you see men who just ghost women, ghost women, ghost women, because it's like, hey, well, I slept with this chick. Now I want to go sleep with that chick. And this chick over there is looking for stuff. But what's even worse about it, and this is the thing that always like kind of breaks my heart, because I coach women. I'm a fitness trainer. And I always hear about women, that go out on these dates, and men will say that, oh, I'm going to take care of your kids, I'm going to be a provider, and all these things. And the moment that the man gets to sleep with the woman, he disappears. Men have basically turned into these little narcissistic liars that have learned exactly what to say in order to get stuff, and then they move on to the next chick. And it's like that's what hurts that hurts me, because I don't like seeing my sisters go through that. But bottom line is it's good to see women that are saying that they're not going to sleep around. I think this is the right direction, right?
See, you ladies, it's not so bad. There are plenty of men who support the 4B movement and fully empathize. They understand what it is what you are going through as women in this country, and they can respect the concepts behind the movement. I myself, I empathize. I don't agree with some of the antics, like, why are you shaving your head? Give me a break. And you haven't lost any rights. Stop yelling and screaming like all of a sudden men or Donald Trump has taken all your rights away, because you're exaggerating, and that is not true. You have lost no rights, no more rights than you had before he was elected. Okay, so stop all that drama. And we're getting down to what you would describe as toxic men. These men you shouldn't be dating anyways. So all this is going to do is going to be able to enhance your character, and you're going to be able to look at men and choose better when it comes to dating. Trust me, most of you women are not going to sit out there and go and tell me you're not going to date no more. You can take a little break. Hey, cool. Get your game tighter. You're going to come back a stronger woman, an enhanced woman. Like, you're going to really be about your business. And so now when you go to find a man, you'll be able to judge better. You'll be able to find the right type of man to cohabitate with or to start a relationship with. You won't have all the drama that you've been going through before. That won't be an issue. That's the whole purpose of this movement, right? But I mean, at one point, you're going to have to go out and date again. You're having this movement. You're saying men have to change, men have to do better. But at what point do you now go back out and start to engage men again? Because you're going to have to test the waters, right? You're going to have to see that if your movement worked, the real test is going to be how the men respond to you, or the type of men that you go out into when you're going out dating again. What type of men do you run into? Are they better? Are they changed? Are some of these toxic traits that you can't stand, are they gone? Have these men risen up and become this whole new type of just a beautiful individual, right? Men have just changed. Hey, it's going to do nothing but help our society become stronger, and it's going to do nothing but help relationships become better, more conducive, and ultimately it'll turn more. Hopefully, it turns into more people getting married again, because the way people are now, both men and women, it's pretty dysfunctional, unfortunately. But hey, at least you can see that there are plenty of men. Not all men are against you. There's plenty of men that are completely in support of this 4B movement, and they got your back. Well, anyways, 4B movement, just stop shaving your hair, man. That stuff takes a long time to grow. I mean, it's not doing nothing. I mean, keep that pretty hair of yours. I mean, we get it. The men get it. Trust me. If they're a real in tune man and they're conscious, they're all about it, and they support you, and they wish you the best with that. Well, that's it for this show. I hope you liked it. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You know what it is. It helps the channel grow. And I'm going to catch you at the next show.